Trick or treat, or both, quite frankly.
Trump tried to play another cruel trick on the American people.
I'm taking it all. 100% tariff on candy.
But a federal judge said, hell no.
The USDA now in a memo is demanding states to, quote, immediately undo any full payments that were made for the month of November. A federal judge is blocking enforcement of that memo this morning.
As we watch the chaotic and cruel policies of the Trump administration being carried out, it's easy to believe that he is just running rampant with no guardrails in place. But that's exactly why we need to highlight action being taken by the courts, as many have been holding strong against the authoritarian leaps this administration is trying to take. In recent months, Trump has been blocked by the courts from trying to shut down funding for libraries and museums, illegally deport Guatemalan children, and sue federal judges he doesn't like. And just this week, the courts struck back against Trump once again when he tried a bullshit move of clawing back food benefit money that had already been distributed to states.
And even with an end to this record-breaking shutdown in sight, food banks across the country say they're seeing a surge in demand with lines wrapping around the block. Organizers in Seattle warning the effects of the shutdown will linger even after the government is ultimately funded, as those 42 million Americans relying on SNAP federal food assistance and the 1.4 million federal workers who've been going unpaid for weeks start to get back on their feet. Meantime, those tens of millions of Americans who rely on SNAP are still in limbo. Many are only getting partial payments of their benefits this month. As a court battle over SNAP plays out, the USDA now in a memo is demanding states to, quote, immediately undo any full payments that were made for the month of November. A federal judge is blocking enforcement of that memo this morning, accusing the Trump administration of, quote, trying to play vindictive games with critical food assistance.
Perfection that the judge said Trump is just playing vindictive games, because that's all he does. Pretty sure his entire administration and probably his entire life has been motivated by his desire to play vindictive games. All of this started when the USDA issued a memo to states saying, hey, if you received SNAP money, you got to send it back.
Confusion and uncertainty surrounding the food aid, which is funded by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. That agency now telling states to, quote, immediately undo any of the steps that they had taken to fully issue this month's SNAP benefits. In a memo, the federal agency said, quote, states must not transmit full benefit issuance files to EBT processors. Instead, states must continue to process and load the partial issuance files that reflect the 35% reduction of the maximum allotments detailed in the November 5th guidance. To the extent states sent full SNAP payment files for November 2025, this was unauthorized, end quote.
But the attorneys general of California, Wisconsin, New York, and 20 other states asked a judge to block Trump's order.
Governor Tony Evers pushing back on any efforts by the Trump administration to claw back or undo those SNAP food sharing benefits that went out to 337,000 families in the state.
Hell no. Hell no. The people that are part of this program deserve 100%.
The Evers administration was able to send out the monthly payments during a brief window between federal court rulings last week. But shortly after, the U.S. Department of Agriculture sent out a memo saying the payments were, quote, unauthorized, and that, quote, states must immediately undo the SNAP benefits for November. Evers says the state did nothing wrong.
The card should be 100%, and that's exactly what we did. And the fact that they're trying to claw that back, that's embarrassing.
Evers says everyone on the state's food sharing list should have received their full monthly benefit.
It's not 60%, it's 100%. And I can tell you that we worked hard to make that 100% happen.
Anxiously watching and waiting as the courts, state and Trump administration go back and forth over whether this month's benefits will be paid out. Today, attorneys general from 23 states joined forces on a new legal maneuver that aims to block the Trump administration's attempts to halt funding and force states to claw back money already given to SNAP recipients.
It has been an emotional ride for those on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, known as SNAP. In the last week alone, recipients have been at the heart of a legal roller coaster. At various points, the millions who rely on SNAP to put food on the table have been told the program will be funded this month. The program won't be funded this month. They might see partial funding. And most recently, that states are being ordered to claw back funding that's already gone out. Today, California Attorney General Rob Bonta led a coalition of 23 AGs to file for a temporary restraining order to block the administration's efforts to force states to halt funds and claw back federal funds that have already been dispersed.
USDA has the funds to pay SNAP benefits this month. They have the funds to ensure that people who need this money can get it to buy groceries. This administration is choosing to withhold it. Trump is choosing to fight tooth and nail to let Americans go hungry.
New York AG Letitia James told SNAP recipients to spend and for stores to serve them.
So I want all SNAP retailers in New York and nationwide to know the chaos at the federal level does not change your responsibility to your customers. You do not have the right to suddenly stop accepting EBT.
The Food Research and Action Center points out there are no real options if benefits keep getting blocked.
And for every one meal the emergency food system provides, which is very important, SNAP provides 9. There's no way for states or localities or nonprofits or communities to really fill that gap.
Adding to all the confusion, a presidential social media post saying SNAP benefits would not resume till Democrats reopen the government, even as the USDA was sending out payments. Congressman Sam Liccardo says there are limited options for ending the limbo for millions of SNAP recipients.
The best we can hope is that Congress will actually pass the law and the president will follow it. And so far what we've seen is that both of those entities have a difficult time doing each of those things.
And hovering over all of this is the U.S. Supreme Court, which took the case on short notice and could make its own ruling as early as tonight or tomorrow.
But there is a glimmer of hope here. If this government funding package does pass the House, it will fund SNAP until September 2026.
And passed it did. Trump signed the funding bill that reopened the U.S. government after the longest shutdown in history on Wednesday night. So at least people will have the food they need for another year. But will they have the health care they need? That's to be determined. What a fucking dystopian nightmare. We are literally begging for people to be fed and have access to medical care. There is an unimaginable amount of progress not being made on critical, complicated issues because one of the richest nations in the entire world is still quibbling over whether or not they should provide their people with basic necessities. Just another reminder that the United States is not, nor has it ever been, the greatest country in the world. But it could be better, at least a little better. But for that to happen, we've got some fucking work to do, y'all. And maybe it won't happen in my lifetime or yours, but we're gonna fight like hell to make as much progress as we can in the time that we have. Because like John Lewis said, if not us, then who? If not now, then when? So make sure you subscribe to Really American Media and stay on this journey with us. And share this video with someone in your life so we can keep the conversation going. For Really American, I'm Corinne Straight. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see y'all next time.